Wee is one of the first affiliates of the Laureus Sport for Change back in 2002. 20 years later, De Wee, who grew up in an orphanage, is doing his bit to help transform the lives of those in his disadvantaged community through sport and show them what opportunities lie beyond the limited access to resources. Our reporter Hotsoselo is covering the Laureus Sport Summit and files this report.
The past couple of days have been a huge learning curve for me in particular. Understanding the difference between sport development and making change through sport. I mean, the one is about seeing, young sport stars developing through a sporting code right up to national level. And the other is how sport can actually help you, become a better individual intrinsically from, literacy levels, from being able to read, from being able to yank yourself out of those social, tight spots where you are lured into things like gangsterism and, drugs and alcohol. And I think, that's the message that's been drummed home here at the Laureus Sport for Change Summit, is that sport is much more than, profit-driven and money-making and results-orientated, but more about changing the individual themselves. And somebody who's had the opportunity to have their lives changed and transformed through sport is Llewellyn De Wee, who comes all the way from the Cape. Llewellyn, sport has done something tremendous for you in particular, and you've been part of the Laureus, Sport for Change for over, 2 decades. Just take us through your journey.
Yeah, I started connecting with Laureus Sport for Good Foundation in 2002. The project was started in Makassar, where I actually originally grew up from. And we're using athletics at that time to bring change amongst young people's lives. It was an incredible time connecting since 2002 till now with the Laureus Sport for Good Foundation, who also dramatically have an impact, good impact on my life as a coach from the community. And the journey so far has been very great, and how it comes that we as 2 decades come together as celebrating now the birthday of Laureus Sport for Good Foundation.
And for you as an individual, I mean, earlier on when you and I were having a conversation, you told me you grew up as an orphan, but, as an orphan you were able to transform your life to what it is today. Just take us through that.
Yes, I was growing up in Makassar, as I said to you earlier, and I was an orphan. I was adopted by 2 people from Makassar since the age of 12 months. And ever since I grew up there with them, at the age of 8 years old, I become aware that I'm actually adopted. But that was also challenging for me. But so running a sport becomes part of my life. And I think since I accepted sport in my life, especially athletics, as a middle and long distance athlete, I carry that with me through life, and it changes my life dramatically because it's a powerful tool.
And I mean, you grew up in a community where it's very much disadvantaged, but also there's a lot of gangsterism, drugs, and all sorts of other things that could have derailed your life, but somehow sport was the winner.
Yes, sport was the winner indeed, because I think at the beginning when sport was introduced to me by Mr. Rothenbach, he was the one coach who was actually coaching me and introduced me to athletics. And also I took sport very seriously at the age of 10. My role model was actually Zola Butt, who was running barefoot on the television in the 1980s. And so I was very inspired by her from a young age, and so I was like pursuing a dream in athletics. So running really transformed me, and when it comes to crime and drug abuse in my community, and as you know, there is peer pressure as well, and you can easily end up into those negative things. But I had this dream of becoming the best runner in my country, and not only in my country, in my world, and become a champion in my community. So I used that from a very young age in pursuing my dream, and I really overcome all these challenges with the power of sport.
And I mean, you as a graduate of the Laureus Sport for Change Foundation, you are also doing good work with the likes of Wade van Niekerk. Just share that with us.
Yes, I do some work also with him, and in terms of the athletics and advice and all those things, in terms of doing advisory, on how to coach and how to do things and inspiring, and I also, since I've loved some young people in my community, so I started my own foundation, which is Anton Bantu Foundation, and the story about Anton Bantu is coming from my adoption, because my name was given by my, Llewellyn was given by my adoption parents, but my original name from my parents was, that they gave me actually when I was young, was Anton, and the surname was Bantu. So I decided, okay, I cannot change my name, cannot change my surname, so let's do something good in the name. So I claimed the name as a change, so it can change lives. So I started the organization Anton Bantu Foundation.
And watching these kids, develop under your watchful eye, what does that do to you as an individual?
Yes, it's amazing how our can use sport in the community, go into schools, in the community around parks and recreational parks, and running around, and I see thousands of kids are drawn with the power of sport. Not only that sport, specifically running, because I run a lot and people knows me for running, because when you enter Makassar and you're looking for me, people say, you're looking for Llewellyn who runs. Yes, we know where he lives, because everyone knows, and I think kids are really looking up to me, and they are inspired by what I'm teaching them and what I'm trying to bring them in terms of teaching sports.
Llewellyn, I know I grabbed you just before you had your coffee, man. Please go enjoy your coffee before it gets cold. It's such an inspirational story from Llewellyn De Wee, one of the flag bearers of his community, making sure that he uses running for the good cause and making sure he uplifts the children in his community to do a little bit better and make smarter decisions.